Usually, there you are. If you could just unmute yourself and your video. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Be Well with Mel second episode. Here we are, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys tuned in on our very first show last week with guest speaker Aiton, let me know. Give me some emojis. Drop it in the Q&A box. I definitely want to make sure also, if you guys missed that one, that we get it in your hands as quick as possible. But for every single one of you guys who are tuning in today, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? Now, during this show, if you're logging in on Zoom, go ahead and find that Q&A box. Go ahead and drop in where you're tuning from, your name, maybe your job title or the company that you work for. I definitely want to give you guys a personal shout out. And while you guys are doing that, I know we have a lot of new people who have registered over the last week. And so I want to personally welcome you, but also let you know what the heck you just signed up for and what you're tuning into. So I'm Mel. I am your host. I'm the Vice President of Sales here at Bree Health, and I bring you guys over 2 decades in the live event and virtual world space as a speaker, as an educator. It is my passion to educate and mentor and invest in others. And I'm just super thankful that you guys trust me every single week with this new show to bring on thought leaders into this industry and to really just give back and be a force for good for you guys. So that's me. I'm your host, but let's see today who is coming in. All right, really quick. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Can someone give me a thumbs up or in the queue? You can hear me. Okay, perfect. I just saw in the chat box, someone said they couldn't hear me again. I got nervous, as we know, last week that happened. Welcome, Dr. K. We're going to bring you up here in about 30 minutes. We're going to go through a couple of things with our show. And then you guys, I have an amazing guest, Dr. K here, who's going to be joining us. All right, let's get started. First off, where are you guys tuning in from? All right, I see I have one in upstate New York again. I have another one in Chicago, Illinois. Welcome. Looks like San Diego, California. Welcome, welcome, guys. Minneapolis. I am actually in North Carolina. I didn't tell you guys this. I am very excited. I actually am visiting one of our corporate offices outside of Raleigh here for Bree Health. So this is my first time. I flew out yesterday. So anybody over here, you have amazing weather. I'm really enjoying the 70 degrees in Phoenix. When I left, it was over 100. Well, welcome, guys. All right. I know we have lots of you guys also tuning in on all of our social media platforms. So hello to all of our LinkedIn, all of our YouTube viewers. If you guys are following us on social media, make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're sharing so that we can grow this audience and this inner circle that we're building for you guys. We're going to have the admins behind, the moderators behind the scenes right now, drop in all of our social accounts. Make sure you guys get as connected as possible. Just like I said last week, you guys, we are going to be sharing content, opinions, recommendations, expertise all throughout the week. It's not just during this show. So you want to make sure that you're following Bree's account on YouTube. You want to make sure you're following me personally on LinkedIn, but also Bree Health on LinkedIn so that you guys don't miss out on any of those gifts or anything that we do throughout the week. All right. How many of you guys tuned in to our very first show premiere with Miss Iton. You guys, she brought a wealth of knowledge. We had so much great feedback that you guys were able to take away and really apply in the workplace last week. And so for those of you guys who missed it, last week, Miss Iton actually covered, we launched the show in Mental Health Awareness Month. And so she covered in depth, we talked about common mental health challenges that people were facing in the workplace. She talked to you about signs that you could identify and use to understand if somebody was struggling with a mental health concern or challenge. She talked to the employers about how she could support, or you guys could support your employees better with these challenging times. And then she left you guys with a lot of tips and tricks on how to promote work-life balance. Now, how many of you guys actually saw that she sent you out a gift via email last week? Two things. If you missed this episode, drop in the Q&A or on LinkedIn or YouTube comments, just drop #replay for me, and we'll make sure that we get that replay over to you guys. I want you to drop #gift if you didn't get the email with the takeaway. The tips and the tricks that she gave you, our team put that all together in a piece of content for you to be able to use in your personal life as well as your work life. So go ahead and use #replay or #gift, and I'll make sure that myself or the team gets that over to you guys. All right, so what the heck is this? If I have any first timers, let me know also. But you guys, this show is really just our way of being a force for good in the industry. It's a way for us to bring you into what we call our inner circle of mental health professionals, industry experts, and thought leaders. This is a show that is every single week live. Now, I want to make sure that you guys are using the Zoom registration link. The reason I'm saying this is, number one, that's how we get your email to make sure that you get your gifts after each of these episodes. But number two, all the reminders are going to come to you guys because this is a live show every Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So block it off on your calendars. Make this the hour that you really just invest in yourself, that you try to level up personally and you try to level up inside of the workplace. If you're an HR director, just being able to invest in yourself and your employees and your organization. So I want you guys to be registered for that. And I want you guys to know that this is just a safe place where we're just sharing personal experiences. We're tackling head-on topics that are happening in our industry. And we're here to just provide as much insight and as much valuable content as we can to help you guys with your everyday lives, as well as everything that's going on in the workplace that we're able to help you guys with. So make sure that you check out that link. Now, I said this last week, a huge thank you to my team who works really hard, you guys, behind the scenes to put the show on every single week. And so thank you. This show is produced by Bree Health, but just know that here on this show, the Be Well with Mel, we're not here to sell anything to you guys. This is an educational platform where, again, we're just bringing in these thought leaders and we're sharing time with you guys and experience. But in the event that you're ever intrigued and you want a solution to be able to help your employees with mental health, you can visit, and they'll drop the link, BreeHealth.com. It's basically providing barrier-free access to mental health, bringing mental health services, life coaching, solutions path through life events that they have through an application that you're able to give your employees and bring it to their fingertips. So at any point in time, if you guys want to meet with me to talk about this or to go through the application, they'll drop my calendar link right now, and you guys are more than happy to set up a personal call with myself. I do want to say just really quick, I got a couple messages this week about Bree Health based off of our first show. And so Bree Health is a service, you guys, that you're able to implement in your workplace. It is a virtual solution to mental health, connecting your employees. So this is outside the traditional employee benefit that you would get when you connect them to counseling through their provider. This is actually going to connect them virtually through our application to a life coach that's barrier-free. So I had a couple people try to sign up for the app on their own this week that messaged me. If you guys want to learn about Bree Health, go ahead and book a call with me, and I'm more than happy to walk you guys through that. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear with that on the very first show, but hey, great news. I'm excited that you guys are looking for those mental health solutions in your workplace. All right, what is our mission here at Bree Health? Really, you guys, it's to create that barrier-free access, right? To scheduling, to being virtual, to not having to go in person and take time out, to access life coaching instead of maybe traditional counseling or therapy. Bree Health leverages over 4 decades, 40 years, you guys, in this space, and we have the expertise, and we're bringing the innovative life technology to your employees' fingertips. All right, now throughout this show, as you guys know, last week, we share a lot of information in one quick hour. But to make our attorneys happy, we definitely want to make sure that we let you guys know that the content that is produced on the show and that we speak about on the show, anything that we show you guys is proprietary. It is property of Bree Health. But secondly, we have no promises, no guarantees throughout the show. We're bringing on real people, you guys, to bring real life experiences, to have discussions, there's opinions and recommendations. So there's absolutely no promises on the shows. It's just humans educating, mentoring, and investing in you guys. All right, a couple of things that I'm adding this week. As we build this show, I told you guys on week 1, I really want it to be interactive, right? I really want it to be about you guys. I was an educator for a really long time, a teacher and a professor, and there's nothing worse than being the person who always talks. So I, in this virtual world especially, want you guys to talk back at me. I want to interact with you guys, and I really want to make sure that I'm meeting you where you're at and answering what you guys need answered, and we're discussing the things that you guys that's happening in your world. But we also want to celebrate you guys. So last week I kind of introduced to you what we're going to call, as part of the show and the tell. It's your chance to celebrate any positive accomplishment that has to do with our industry. So anything HR related, anything mental health related, anything employment, work-life balance related, any win. Maybe it's filling a job. Maybe it's a job opening. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe you guys found a new solution to be able to service your employees, or maybe it's ideas that you've implemented in the workplace around employee benefits or mental health that you're seeing much success and you want the rest of our inner circle to know about. This is your chance to tell us. Nothing is off the table here. So right now, I want you to find the Q&A, and I want you guys to just drop a tiny win that happened. Keep it one sentence, because I got to read through them all. As the show builds, you guys, they come in, they flood in, but we want to celebrate you. And I'm going to go ahead and move forward. And while you guys are dropping those in the Q&A box, I'm going to come back and read some of those. So go ahead and drop some in for me. All right, another thing that we're adding to the show that will help you guys engage, help me see what you're paying attention to, what really lights you up throughout the week, what really speaks to you, is the social media spotlight. So I want you guys throughout the week, from Tuesday to Tuesday, I want for you guys anything that pops up that could relate to this show or our industry that you found that moved you, that spoke to you, that other people need to read. We're calling it the social media spotlight. And all we want you to do throughout the week is tag me in it. All you got to do is an @Malabella on LinkedIn. Obviously, this is only on the LinkedIn platform. You can share it in a DM to me. And I just want you guys to share these. And then my team and I, throughout the week, will go and pick one, and we're going to highlight that. Maybe it's your own social media post. Maybe it's your CEO's post, or maybe it's a partner, someone in your network. It does not matter. Again, not off limits. Just tag me. And we really want to showcase that. And how I came up with this idea, by the way, is our COO, Chris Dixon, actually tagged me this week in a post. And I thought, hey, this would be really great. He wanted me to see it. He thought it was a great post. And so I thought this would be really great if we start first giving credibility to the person who did it. So Miss Angela Richard, this is all yours, original content. So I first want to make sure that we give her credibility for this post, but it really was a great post that I wanted to share with you guys, because we decided to launch this show during Mental Health Awareness Month. So this month, we want to make sure through now and the 30th of May that we're bringing as much conversation about the topic as possible. And I just thought I should have wore, instead of Brie blue, I should have worn green today. On the 30th, count me in on green, you guys. So I wanted to talk about Angela's post that Chris had tagged me in. She said, my busiest time of year is around fall and spring semesters. So then it had me thinking of food for thought. Those times also are when my mental health is at its worst. Do you guys have seasons in your life where your mental health is more challenging or is more at the forefront of your mind, or is a part of your life more than ever? Like, are you off balance a little bit during certain seasons? If so, drop in the Q&A. Let me know what your season is. But she said, some days I have bursts of energy and I feel like ungraspable motivation to get through projects and tasks that excite me. On other days, it's really, really hard to get through my work. My productivity takes a hit and I don't feel like my best self. I don't talk about mental health that often on my platform. How many of you guys, a lot of people don't talk about it, right? We're all trying to reduce the stigma around mental health. So thank you, Angela, for your honesty in that. I don't think a lot of people do talk about it, mainly because she's working on understanding herself. I don't know about you guys, but I'm guilty. If I don't feel like the expert in something, or I don't understand something 110%, I'm not confident to really come out and talk about it because I'm a little bit insecure about it. But it's something that she wants to start addressing more. Love the challenge, Angela, because more than 1 in 5 US adults live with a mental illness, and 83% of US workers suffer from work-related stress, according to the American Institute of Stress. Our mental health doesn't have to take a back seat when we clock into work. Now, why I wanted to show this was because I feel like she gave a really good example of what I like to call a mental health toolkit. How many of you guys have a mental health toolkit? And what do I even mean by that? Are you prepared for when this season happens? Do you have things that you can do to help you? Or are you going into it totally unsupported and not prepared at all? And then maybe what is really a 2 feels like a 12. I love that she says this is how she supports her mental health in the workplace. She builds trusting relationships with her team. She takes pauses, walks, stretches. She writes down what she's feeling and she's thinking before she says it or sends it. Oh my gosh, you guys, that one spoke to me. How many of you guys, we just go, right? Just we're moving so quick. And then if we're holding in all these extra things and challenges that we're dealing with, maybe what we wrote probably isn't the best thing we should have wrote. So I love the pause. I love the reread. I like checking ourselves and then communicating clearly with those around me. I love this. The themes I kind of took away from this was communication during the season, connectivity during the season, mental clarity during these types of seasons, and just having really clear communication, not only with yourself, but those that you work with and the people that you're connected to. If you guys thought that this was a great post, drop in, tag me. I'm more than happy to tag you guys for you to share. Otherwise, next week, I want you guys to tag me in any post that you feel like we should showcase here in the Mel Social Media Spotlight. Thank you, Angela, for the valuable content this week. All right, guys, looking at that Q&A, let's see how many people have something to positively celebrate today. All right, let's see. Oh, really quick. Ellen says in the winter times, in the winter, when the days are shorter, she feels like her mental health is a little bit more challenged. I love that. All right, Joe got a new job in the HR industry. Lots of people going to the SHRM conference. I love this. Coming up in Las Vegas, you guys, in, is it 3 weeks? 2 short weeks away. That's a good one to celebrate. I love it. All right, taking what I learned last week and implementing it into a staff meeting. That is awesome. That's what we want to see here on the show, you guys. Well, thank you. For anybody else that would like to share, please feel free to keep dropping it into the chat box. We're going to move forward. How many of you guys saw this announcement this week? This is a big one. My marketing team actually has created now a form for you guys. They're going to drop it into the chat box right now, where if you guys want to be a part of the show, if you want to be a guest speaker, if you have expertise, or you have knowledge, or you want to share something to the world that is going to impact this inner circle, we want you guys to apply to be on the show. It's a really quick form that you're going to fill out, and then our team will be getting back to you guys. You're going to have to, be ready to share with us your credentials. Obviously, you're going to want to share with us the topic that you would like to speak about, and then probably some bullet points around what exactly your presentation would be. With this show, we're looking for people who want to present about 25 to 30 minutes. And that can be in any format. If you guys want it to be podcasty, where we just have a conversation back and forth, totally good. If it's a presentation that you guys are really good at and that you've done maybe at speaking engagements, that works also. But we're excited to see how many of you guys want to be a part of the show. So go ahead and visit this link, and hopefully we'll be chatting with you guys soon. All right, so who's on today's show? First off, total caveat. I was blessed with the opportunity at probably my second SHRM event at the Greater Phoenix. So I belong as a member to SHRM in the Greater Phoenix area. Shout out to any of our Greater Phoenix SHRM people who are attending or watching right now. And my second dinner that I went to, Dr. K was actually the presenter at this. And I left you guys with, oh my gosh, my head was spinning. I had notes. I was that person who had my iPhone out because I didn't have a pen and paper, unprepared. And I was taking notes that I think I used for content on my social media platform throughout weeks. He had me researching things because his wealth of knowledge was so much. So I immediately set up a lunch with Dr. K and I. The next week we went to lunch and I said, you know what? We have this idea about this show and I'd love to have you on one day. Well, what do you know? He says yes to me, you guys. And today we are bringing Dr. K here. He is going to obviously talk more about mental health awareness, but today he's going to specifically focus in on the 5 pillars of emotional health. He's a licensed naturopath physician, but he has a crazy story, so I can't wait for him to tell you guys. An emotional health expert and a life coach, and he works actually with companies one-on-one. So he's and their employees. So he's gonna talk to us a little bit about that. Can you guys please put your hands together? And Dr. K, why don't you go ahead and join us? And I am so ready to get started today. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. How are you?
I'm doing so good. Minus a little jet lag, you're in Phoenix with me, but coming from West Coast to East Coast is never easy when your day starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, right?
Right. Yeah, we're still half asleep, 3 hours behind,
oh, well, I put some extra makeup on. Can you tell?
Not at all.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I think the best place for us to start is you have one heck of a journey. It's not like your normal journey of becoming a doctor. So I think talk to people a little bit about Wall Street to naturopathic medicine to getting inside of companies and connecting with CEOs and C-level executives to be really a force for good, a light, and to start investing in their people. Like, how did that even come about?
Yeah, it's been a twisting and turning journey. And one of the things that I tell young professionals, young people these days, especially in our 20s, right? We always think that we're supposed to have our whole life together and the whole plan, and it's supposed to go to that plan. And it never does. And so the road less traveled, the circuitous journey is definitely the more fulfilling one, even if it may be challenging along the way. So I'll skip over, let's say, the depression years that I had during undergraduate. That's a story that you haven't even heard yet. So we'll save that one for another day. But so let's just say that me getting to Wall Street alone was a small miracle based on what I had been through in the years prior. So I was really excited in 2005 to start working at one of the premier Wall Street investment banks. And I want to learn everything I possibly can. I want to contribute anything I possibly can and just go from there. Well, we all know the timeline, what happened soon after 2005. And it became a very stressful time to be in the industry. We didn't know on any given day whether our bank, like Lehman or Bear Stearns, would exist the next day, the next work day. And so, when you're going into work with that stress, plus the stress of there's downsizing to adjust to the economy and everything else, it was to say burnout was an issue was an understatement. I mean, it was one of those things that, as it is, you're talking about an industry that we work long hours, we put in a tremendous amount of effort, and then you add this on top of it. But nonetheless, you were talking earlier about go, go, go. That was my mentality as well, to just work hard and outperform, and everything will be okay. And so I did, and I got promoted a couple times faster than anyone else in my department ever had. I was able to get my own studio skyrise apartment overlooking the New Jersey horizon, 30th floor. It was brand new building. It was gorgeous. Paid off my student loans, my undergraduate loans, my parents' credit card debt. I was giving more to charity than I ever thought I could at that age. And I hated the man in the mirror. I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't figure out, how is it that I have what society tells us we're supposed to have to be happy, and why am I miserable? Not that I could show it to anybody. At least I didn't feel like I could show it to anybody, because last thing I wanted was an excuse to be, okay, let's add him to the percentage of people that we need to get rid of, right? And so it was one of those periods of time where you're just trying to figure out answers. And the problem with burnout is the harder you work at it, the worse it gets.
I was following yesterday, and I don't know if you saw, but Kim Kardashian did, is it Jetty, the podcast? I was very intrigued by it. But something you just said right now on that, he said that there's I think it's Japanese saying that you have three people. You are three people. You are the person you think you are. You're the person that the world thinks you are. And then you're the person that no one knows.
Right.
And so when you say that, it's like we're looking for happiness. We're looking to be that certain, we're striving, but do we even know what that is?
Right. Yeah. Until you get a taste of it and how it arrived, you don't quite realize how to get there. It feels like, the one coping mechanism that I had was work harder. So the more I work harder to find happiness, the less it's there and the more burned out I felt. But I basically came to a rock bottom about 11 years ago at this point, and I had just gotten dumped. I was struggling with my weight despite doing some pretty fun home exercise programs and whatnot. We've talked about it. And it just felt like I couldn't get to where I wanted to be. And I was just about on the verge. It's like, okay, this is just who I am. And I'm just going to be single, miserable at my job, miserable in life going forward. It's just what's meant for me, what I'm destined for. And at that point in time, as I was hitting rock bottom, I saw my sister after a 3-month window of time. So she had come to upstate New York to visit my parents for her spring break. She was doing her master's at MIT at the time. And so I went upstate, and I saw her at spring break. I had previously seen her at Christmas. And in that time, she had lost 30 pounds. Her cystic acne cleared up. She looked incredible. And it was one of those moments that when you're so desperate that you're willing to try anything, rock bottom is a beautiful, beautiful place to be, because you are willing to try things that you wouldn't have said yes to before. So knowing full well that she probably did something crazy, I said, what did you do? Show me, right? And so she said, I've just been eating this raw food, plant-based diet. I said, okay, what does that mean? I've just been eating fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, just as they're found in nature, just natural food that we were designed for. I said, show me how to do this.
Doesn't sound exciting.
Yeah, right. It's like, I feel like I'm going to be foraging, but whatever. And so I did. I just gradually started changing the way I ate. And mind you, I had cut out processed foods before. I had done all these different things. I'd gone vegan. But there was something about the way in which I approached this nutrition change as a means to achieve an identity change that was the unlock for me. Within 3 weeks, I was at the lowest weight I'd ever been as an adult. And that's when my mind blew open, and I said, okay, maybe the body I've wanted, the confidence I've wanted, maybe the relationship I've wanted, maybe everything is possible. And the only thing that was holding me back from all of that was me. And so, true to myself, I didn't tell anybody at work what I was doing. And, I had, juice bars were not as popular back then as they are right now. And so I would bring these jars of green juice to work, 2 or 3 jars. And the guys would walk by my desk and be like, "What is that pond scum you're drinking?" And I'd just go ahead and drink my green juices. And people started noticing I was losing weight. So I still remember there was one guy who made a comment like that. And then later he said, "Karthik, I'm going to this wedding in a couple of weeks and my suit is a little tight. Do you have any advice for me?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So I gave some recipes and brought some food into work, whatnot. Okay, yeah, I saw people lose weight, but I saw type 2 diabetes go away, hypertension, cholesterol issues, chronic migraines, chronic joint pain. I said, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, but this is awesome. The gratitude that they had was something I'd not felt before outside of, family and
By you simply just sharing what
yeah,
you
by
were doing.
simply
And you
sharing.
really didn't even have the knowledge. You were
Exactly.
just a walking
Exactly. It was just,
experiment.
I am just doing what I'm learning. I have no idea, And so in the process of losing 100 pounds, what I also discovered was purpose. What I also discovered was fulfillment. And I said, I need to figure out how to make this my career. And so, long story short, I found out about naturopathic medicine. I was already craving to go to a place with more sunshine, even if it's 115 degrees. I don't care. So there was, my sister at that time had moved to Arizona, and she said, I had, one of the best naturopathic schools in the country is right here up the road from where I live now. I said, okay, well, I need to find out. And so 10 years ago, I moved here to Arizona, joined medical school, and I said, okay, I have this unique opportunity to redefine who I am because nobody knows me here. It's one of those rare moments in life where you get to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, Dr. K of the future, the guy that I want to be, what is the ideal version of myself? And what are his habits, routines? Who does he spend time with? Who does he not spend time with? What does he eat? What does he not eat? How does he exercise? What's his morning routine, evening routine? All this stuff. I mapped out who that ideal version of me was. And I started living into the vision of that person. And as I went through the medical program, I was pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I'd never been a leader before and no kind of leadership role. Okay, why don't we run for student government president? Let's see what happens there. Never been a public speaker before. And I used to hate the concept of it, but okay, let's join a Toastmasters group and see what happens. And it was all about pushing myself out of my comfort zone and growing to see what I could become. Because fundamentally, we all change when it hurts enough. We all change when it hurts enough, and it's all human beings, all life forms. It's nature's pressure that causes us to change because fundamentally we want to conserve energy. We want to conserve metabolic energy. And so change doesn't happen by default. It happens with pressure. So that's where I was in 2011 that it produced the change. But now I was living in wonder. I was living in what could I become? And that was driving me to change and shift. So as I went through the medical program and I graduated and I started and eventually, seeing patients, that I realized, we could come up with the perfect treatment plan for, let's say, type 2 diabetes that patient gets aligned with, they're excited about. They come back a month later. Yeah, Dr. K, I didn't change my food at all. I said, okay. So I started to realize like healing doesn't happen in the doctor's office. Healing starts and ends up here. And when I went back and looked at my own journey, I said, it was because I laid the foundation to be emotionally healthy. It was because I laid the foundation of creating a vision of the person that I wanted to be. That is what allowed me to then make the diet changes, make the changes in relationships and things along those lines. And so that was what started all of this. And now I just love being able to bring that experience that I have from, the corporate world with my medical education, with my personal journey, to teach this 5-pillar concept of emotional health and help business owners and their companies become emotionally healthy companies.
You have so many light bulbs going off in my head. So the world is learning about me through this show. I struggled with anxiety in full-blown panic for almost a decade of my life, debilitating, and I refused to get on medicine. And just a couple of things I never understood until going through that own path of mine, like you're talking about. I never understood how people were addicted to things, or how people wouldn't just change. Like, why can't you just wake up one day and change? And I remember, and I now say this, I had to come to the end of myself. I had to be so exhausted to not want to live a life like that before I could have ever just snapped out of it. Right. And so when you talk about this, like it's here, you could have all the tools, you could have all the resources, you could have all the support. But if you don't want it enough, or you're not tired enough, or if you're not ready to like make that switch and just like, I love that you said, I almost felt like you were creating your own avatar. So like, takeaway, guys, sit down tonight. Homework assignment, huge one. Create your future self. I know they do this with kids when they're young, right? Write a letter to your future self. But why as adults are we not creating our future self and then using it as an accountability tool every single day to really just say, how do I start working towards this person? Those were just some of the light bulbs that were going off as you were talking. But, you know, this is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to talk about the 5 pillars of emotional health. I think, let's start there. What is the difference between the two, or what would the definition of emotional well-being or emotional health mean in comparison to mental health?
Yeah, absolutely. And so very similar. That's the short answer, if not the same at the root. Mental health, some people think of it as mental health are the health of your thoughts, emotional health, health of your feelings, right? That's one way to look at it. And actually, if you go back into the archives of my YouTube channel, I used to talk about this concept of everyday mental health, because to me at that time, it was like, okay, if I say word association, you know, health, what words come to your mind? No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you ask that one more time?
Yeah. So like word association, if I say, you know, the word health, what other words come to your mind?
Well-being, fitness, nutrition, right? My heart, like I think
healthy things. Exactly. Yeah. But the moment you slap the word mental in front of health, now what words come to mind?
It's all in my head.
Yeah. That, anxiety, depression, that's the word association that a lot of people have. And, you know, one of the tenets of naturopathic medicine is remove the obstacles to cure. And when you remove the obstacles to cure, a lot of times the body has the ability to self-correct. And so when you get to the root cause of things, we are able to address those challenges. They start to not become an issue. And I can talk to a couple of those later on. And so we have this idea that mental health equals mental illness. And what I wanted to talk about was more about what are the underlying determinants of what makes somebody mentally and emotionally healthy. And so if this plant back here was dying, right, and I was to ask for help on how to revive this thing, we'd probably say, oh, give it more sunlight, soil, change the soil, water, things like that, right? And yet, when it comes to our mental and emotional well-being, right now it's either counseling or drugs. And both have a role, both are very powerful and needed in certain circumstances, but they are not always necessarily the underlying determinants to health. And so to mental and emotional health. So emotional health is a person's ability to identify, process, and act. So identify, process, and act upon specific feelings in the moment and also over the course of time. So it's really about being able to identify the feeling, process the feeling, and then act appropriately on that feeling rather than just reacting, right? And so another way to look at emotional health is your emotional intelligence plus your emotional resilience. And so those criteria that allow us to be emotionally healthy are, number one, your psychology, your belief systems. And this is where counseling is so powerful, right? Your belief systems, the understanding of how we came to be this way, the lens through which we see the world, right? It's almost as if we've been wearing sunglasses our whole life. And if you were to take off the sunglasses, now all of a sudden everything is a little bit more vibrant, more colorful, more clear in some cases. And so that is the power of shifting the way you think. But, you know, your history of trauma, your emotional intelligence, all these things falls into that area. Number two, relationships. Anybody that is in the personal development world knows that we're the average of the 5 people and ideas that we spend the most time with, right? And so this is where having powerful, uplifting, growth-seeking teammates at your company makes such a huge difference, because when you can go to work and feel energized and fulfilled when you come home, now your family's better off, everybody's better off, right? Having emotionally healthy romantic relationships, incredibly important, right? Because if you're always struggling to have a conversation with your significant other, or sort things out, it's going to take its toll in every other area of your life. Number 3, nutrition. 90% of the neurotransmitters that regulate how we think, act, and feel are not made by our own cells in our own body. They are made by the bacteria that live in our gut microbiota, our gut microbiome, if you've heard of that. And so we have to take care of our gut health, because our gut health equals our emotional health. We have more cells, more bacteria cells in our gut than we do in our whole body. And they do various vital functions in terms of neurotransmitter balance, immune function, metabolic regulation. And we're just starting to learn everything that goes into that right now. And it's absolutely fascinating. So gut health equals emotional health.
So much out there on it right now. I agree.
Number 4, sleep. It's the first thing to go when we're busy or flying across the country, getting up early. But nonetheless, we spend a third of our lives sleeping. And if we were out in nature, and we were all designed to be out in nature, right? That beautiful background that you have behind you right now, that's all what we were designed for. And so why would we sleep for 1/3 of our life and be susceptible to getting attacked by predators, whatever else, if it wasn't absolutely necessary? And yet we say, I can get away with 4 hours, 5 hours of sleep. Yeah, you might be for a certain amount of time. I sure thought I could. From about age 15 to 30 or so, I've slept about 4 hours a night.
You and I talked about this. I am a sleeper.
Still paying the price for that, right? Still paying the price for that.
I'm a 9 to 10 hour a sleeper person a night.
Yeah.
I told you
It's
that.
a beautiful
Sleep
thing.
is my non-negotiable in life.
And that has become mine. I was the exact opposite, but sometimes we have to shift the way we do things to get the results that we want. Number 5, body movement. Motion dictates emotion. It's not just about exercise. It's about being in constant low-grade motion. The blue zones, the longest lived populations on Earth, aren't the people who necessarily exercise like for half hour a day. It's not that they don't, but it's that they are in constant low-grade motion from just their day-to-day activity. They walk to the store, things along those lines, or their job requires them to be out in the field and moving more. But there's also a lot that we can do in terms of body movement, posture, breathing techniques, things like that, to help us quickly shift our emotional state. So psychology, relationships, nutrition, sleep, body movement.
And I feel like with body movement, I've been sharing this if you guys are following me on social media. I just did this huge 12-week at the beginning of the year fitness transformation. I've blown my own expectations out of the water with it. But the number one underrated thing I would have ever guessed at the beginning of that was walking. Right? I had to commit to 10,000 minimum. Just so you know, I do 21,000 steps a day. I track it all day long. So if you see crazy Mal going around, that's me. But I don't do cardio anymore. I just move. And it's funny because our CEO, I have a meeting the other day and I did it while I was walking. And I'm like, I have a commitment to myself to move my body between every meeting. I do this all day long. And it's just to your point, my back hurts, my neck hurts, my legs need to move. My mind is frozen. I'm like, just get out and walk. So another takeaway, guys, get the sleep. The other thing I wanted to say is at the SHRM event you spoke at, remember I told you guys, he has a trick about putting your cell phone. You want to talk about that? In the other room. It was life-changing for me.
If you don't listen to anything else I said today,
really,
just do this one thing. Just do this one thing. How many of us use this as our alarm clock, right? And what that looks like is the night before, we're scrolling, we're looking, maybe, if we have our partner, we're not talking to them, we're on our phone, and then we set the alarm and we go to bed. Now, all that blue light has disrupted your melatonin. Melatonin is your stay asleep hormone. So it's done that damage, among other physiological things as well. But it's also activated your brain. If you're on social media and you're thinking about so-and-so posted this, and maybe it's a political trigger, or somebody posted something that makes you feel bad about your body or whatever else. All of this is bringing other thoughts into your mind, so that when you go to sleep, which is supposed to be for processing the day's events, committing things to long-term memory, now it's polluted with these other things that really don't even serve you. So what happens in the middle of the night when you go to the bathroom, right? You come back, you're like, who's texted you at 2 a.m.? Nobody's texting you at 2 a.m. Okay. But we check anyway, because what if they did? And now all of a sudden we can't fall asleep for another half an hour. So we lost another half hour during our sleep. But then the worst part, you wake up in the morning, and first of all, it's this blaring, annoying sound, whatever it is, right? It jars you awake. We have a hormone called cortisol. It's a stress hormone. And it's used, it's a, by the way, stress hormones are needed. Like everything in our body is needed. Nothing is by accident here. So yeah, we might think stress is a bad thing, but stress also causes change. It's just it's the abundance of stress, too much stress, that causes the issue, right? And so we have cortisol. It rises to its peak 30 minutes after we wake up every day. Okay. In that first 30 minutes, we are coming into our body, into our mind. And this is the time to set our intentions, to meditate, to journal, to do a morning routine that inspires us, that grounds us, that helps us tackle the day. But instead, what do? We reach over, look at the phone, and we've given up control of our whole day before our feet even hit the floor.
Wow.
So put your phone in another room at night, charge it somewhere else, and get up in the morning and create a morning routine that inspires you, right? Whether it's meditation, prayer, visualization, journaling, sitting outside. I highly recommend you could stack a few of these. You could journal while you're outside, and now you got 2 for 1. You can go for a walk. Everything that just allows you to connect with yourself. And it doesn't even have to be that long. It could be half an hour, but on certain days, I don't have time to do half an hour. Maybe, my body needed a little extra sleep. I slept in. You could do a 10-minute version, a 5-minute version, but it takes the time to do that routine over and over and over again, so that when you do the 5-minute version, you get 90% of the benefit of it. And then look at your phone. I promise you that notification, that email, that text message, or something to do with work that is there waiting for you doesn't bother you nearly as much.
I remember going to lunch with you right after that, like 3 days later. And I was like, it was the best sleep. Like subconsciously, I knew there was nothing to roll over and look at. So I slept so much better, and it wasn't top of mind. And so I definitely wanted you to share that. So out of these 5 things, I don't want to say that one is more important than another one, but if someone had to start somewhere with redesigning their environment or their mind, what would you say as a priority that has probably the biggest benefit? Which one should they focus on first out of the 5 pillars?
This one really depends on the person. I actually get that question a lot.
You do?
And
Okay.
if I look back across all of my clients, the ones that I work with one-on-one weekly, right? Where we start is never the same for any 2 people. So what I would suggest is rank yourself. I actually do a different scale than the 1 to 10, but we won't go into that right now. But let's just say 1 to 10, right? Where do you feel your mind is at? Psychology, 1 to 10, right? Your relationships, nutrition, sleep, body movement. Which one is the one that you could change the easiest?
Oh, that's good.
Which is the one that would benefit the others? So as an example, when we get into a really good workout routine, we naturally don't want to eat poorly, right? Or if we start eating well, we naturally don't want to or we stay sedentary. We want to move our body. We feel energetic. We want to move.
Yeah.
So which one could be a lever that makes changing the other ones easier? It's
good.
called the keystone habit, right? So so basically, like, what is the biggest obstacle, and how can we improve that one? And so that it makes everything else that much easier. They all go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
And so, but one thing I would definitely recommend is don't try to fix all of them at once. That's just overwhelming. Just pick one.
Yeah.
Just pick one. I was an all or nothing person, right? I was somebody that if I couldn't do it perfectly, it wasn't worth doing it all. And that's why 2 rounds of P90X, insanity, cutting out processed foods, all this stuff, I went a certain way. And the moment I hit a little bit of resistance, I give up, and I went right back to where I was before. But the time that it changed was I said, I'm just going to do the best I can. Just see what happens. Because the way that I used to do things clearly didn't work. Sometimes the wrong strategy doesn't help. I don't care how hard you work. If you keep running and sprinting east, you will never find a sunset.
You're only one decision away from getting right back on track. That was one of the most powerful statements that when I went through this fitness challenge, you're one meal away, you're one walk away, you're one day away, you're 1 minute, one moment away. It's like, we think that when we get off track, we just, it's gone.
Right.
Yeah. No, we're one decision away from getting right back on and just let it go. So
in
good.
psychology, there's this concept called the what the hell effect. It's actually what it's called.
Yeah.
And so it's never that first meal that went off course. It's never that first day that you missed a workout. It's the second one. Because the second one creates the pattern. So if it happens, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to beat yourself up. If you do beat yourself up, that's something else to look at, right? I used to be that guy, the negative voice in my head that just would not stop for decades. It's not there anymore. And it can be that way for you too.
So why don't you just, as we wrap up the show today, I think it'd be really good for our audience to kind of know, first off, what exactly do you do in your practice now? And then what kind of benefits from the implementation of what you're teaching are you seeing in employees and in corporations?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, when we connected, both of us have this vision of being able to give people tools that they can use. That toolbox, right? Is emotional health toolbox is something that I teach as well. So it was awesome to hear that toolkit concept from you as well. And whatever that looks like, a lot of times, it's like counseling plus life coaching, I think can go such a long way. And so that is fundamentally an aspect that I bring to the picture, along with, because of my medical background, to be able to listen for certain things, to say, okay, you know what, this sounds like an HPA axis issue. This sounds like a thyroid issue. I'm not going to be your doctor in this situation, but I can definitely suggest you go take a look at this, with your doctor, with your naturopath, whatever it might be. And so the one area that I feel very passionately about is, and this does make it so that, my program's not for everybody. It's about culture, right? Culture at a company wins over strategy, wins over talent, wins all day long, right? And a lot of times, business owners have this ideal of what they want their company to be, what they want it to stand for, but it doesn't necessarily translate in their day-to-day life at work. And so when people are going through challenges in their personal life and they're already struggling and stressed because it's something unrelated to work, they bring that to the office. And now that strain, that stress, that negativity starts to spread. Now, all of a sudden, we're not living up to that cultural idea. And it could be the leaders or the business owner themselves, right? So the way that my program's a little bit different is that I work with the business owners, the leadership team, and in some cases, the employees directly, but definitely the employees in a group setting, so that we are having real conversations and real growth. So when one of my clients, they've got a boardroom that has windows that everybody can see who's inside, right? And when they see the two owners of the business individually meeting with me to work on their personal life, on their challenges, their emotional health, it suddenly becomes safe for everybody else to do that. Right. And so that is a key component, to be able to work with everybody at all levels. So whether it's individual for the owners and leadership, one-on-one with employees, if they choose that. And I do have a team that naturopathic physicians that I also work with, who are trained in this area. And then also, but group programs, right? Imagine, if it's one thing to say we value your mental health, your emotional health. It's another thing if we sit down with the CEO and have a fireside chat for everybody to, right? And it's putting all of that into action. And as far as the results of what I've been able to say, I'll tell you two quick stories here. So one, a couple years ago, met a young man who he was considered to be one of their high performers, but he could not get out of his own way. And he was on some medications as well for antidepressive and antipsychotic medications. And in the process, he was also dealing with a custody battle for his son. And so I go in there for my first presentation to the team, and I talk about the 5 pillars of emotional health. We have a workbook that they all filled out along the way. And I come back after a couple months, and he says, "Hey, Dr. K, what you shared at the last workshop, I've really been implementing it." And he takes out his wallet and he takes out a page from that book. And he says, "Especially this right here, I've been reading this every day, and I've been doing this exercise every day, and it's really been helping." And I'm so happy to say, despite all the negativity that you saw from when we talked before, I have full custody of my son now.
Hmm.
And he was just so excited about that. And then as time went on, he had other challenges that came up, but we were able to talk through them and help him understand, okay, how do you shift your home environment? How do you shift your nutrition? And so it's to the point that now he's reducing his medication. Again, I'm not helping him through that, but what I am having him do is, tell your psychiatrist that you are making some lifestyle changes. And so to keep monitoring the need for certain, the medications you have. So he's on fewer, and his dose is maintaining on certain ones like the SSRIs that normally they might need to go up over time. And so that has been a huge benefit. And now he's gotten promoted. He's
going to say, how is it affecting the workplace?
He's being a shining example to his teammates for what it means to work at this company and to be a growth seeking person. So they are inspired by his change. And you can hear it in the conversation that happens on the floor that, I've seen. People didn't even know I was there, but like I just came in and I overhear a conversation where somebody's coaching another employee, like a teammate, on a challenge that person's having. And it was just like, it's happening. Like, this is what it's all about. Another one, I'll just read what she said, because this happened last week. I was just blown away. This is a wealth management firm in Houston. And she goes, "I don't think most business owners understand the emotional toll that most employees go through, not just professionally, but personally as well. And everybody has it. It's just about how they deal with it. I was at the point where I was looking for a professional to work with. And when my boss offered up working with you, I just jumped all over it. And from then until now, I just feel like a different person, because before I was dealing with so much emotional stuff and I didn't know where to put it. And that was made harder by all of my autoimmune medical challenges and all the pain that I was in. But now I'm turning 50 and I'm dreaming about what I can do in my life in the years ahead. I am just getting started."
Wow. That'll fill your love tank.
It does. Absolutely does. Fulfilling work. It's powerful.
Last week, I had a prospect call, and I think you bring up a huge theme, or things that employers just aren't considering. And this prospect call was, we have this certain department that is just not thriving. The rest of the organization totally thriving. And all of the focus went on, what are we doing wrong? Right? What aren't we focusing on? What are we doing wrong? Is it leadership? Is it not supporting them? Is it this? That? And I just gave her a piece of food for thought that said, do you wonder if it's something you guys are doing wrong internally, or if it's stuff that's going on in their personal life and it's coming into the workplace? And literally she just stopped, because she had this whole agenda to talk to me about all the things that they think they're doing wrong in their company.
Right.
And I said, I'm just tabling it. I just want you to think about it for a second. Is it that they can't manage the balance, and that you don't have a solution to support the balance? Everything you're doing right when they're here 8 hours a day could be proper and correct and all that, but it's stuff in the home life that they're bringing in. And, one of the things we got on our first show was resources, connectivity. Like, okay, you guys are right. We are not supporting them. Dr. K, you brought up so many great things. Where are the resources for us as employers to be able to fix this? And so guys, Dr. K can be found on LinkedIn. I've tagged him in all the posts this week. Bree Health has also, to not only his private practice and business, but also to his personal page. You guys can find him there if you're interested in his services. And then to your point, Bree Health, you guys, also brings this. So we are not competitors. We serve two totally different things, but Bree Health is also here to connect you guys with that life coaching that he's talking about, that employers. So it's a resource for you guys to be able to tap into too. Sometimes people just need people to talk to them And the last thing I want to say is that when leadership is involved, and you just made a huge point of this, I know your expertise is working with C-level executives so that it trickles from the top down. That's what Dr. K works with, where we work more with the one-on-one employee. The leadership, when they are involved, when they show their employees that they care, you said, like when you're actually doing something about it and your employees can see, it sets a tone and it sets a culture that people want to be a part of, right? And so you brought amazing points, guys. As always, Dr. K, with your permission, we are going to give them a gift of your top tips and tricks via email this week for them also, and his contact information, you guys. We really, really thank you so much, Dr. K, for being on the second episode, you guys. And we will see you next Tuesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have an awesome rest of your guys' week. Bye, Dr. K.
Bye.